The second process of the deliver service and support domain, called manage service requests and incidents, has 7 practices. The second practice is to record, classify, and prioritize requests and incidents. The entity responsible for this practice is the IT Service Manager, while the entity that is held accountable is the head of IT operations. The practice receives several inputs that include the service level agreements from the AP09 process, the emergency escalation procedure from the BAI4 process, and the incident tickets from the DSS01 process. It generates 2 outputs, which are the incident and service request log to be used internally, and the classified and prioritized incidents and requests to be used by several APO processes. The activities involved in this practice include logging all the incidents and service requests. All their relevant information should be collected, to ensure that they can be handled effectively and efficiently. Requests and incidents should be classified, to be able to perform trend analysis. They should be also prioritized according to the service level agreements, and based on their business impact. The third practice is to verify and fulfill service requests. The entities that are responsible are the business process owners, the head of IT development, and the head of IT operations. The entity that is held accountable is the IT Service Manager. The practice receives 1 input, which is the risk root causes from the AP012 process. It generates 2 outputs, which are the approved service requests to be used by the BAI6 process, and the fulfilled service requests to be used internally. The activities involved in this practice include verifying that the user has the right to make the service request, according to predefined process flow. When required, financial and functional approvals should be obtained. The requests should then be fulfilled by following the defined procedure, or other predefined request models for standard requests. The fourth practice is to investigate and allocate incidents. The entities that are responsible are the business process owners, and the head of IT operations. The entity that is held accountable is the IT Service Manager. The practice receives 1 input, which is the supplemental support plan from the BAI7 process. It generates 2 outputs, which are the incident symptoms to be used internally, and the problem log to be used by the DSS03 process. The activities involved in this practice include identifying the probable causes of the incidents, and describing their relevant symptoms. The possible incident resolutions should be identified, whether they provide permanent solutions or a temporary workarounds. If the incidents satisfied the requirements to be registered as a problem, and if the created problem is known, then a new problem log should be created. If the incident can't be resolved with the available resources, then specialist expertise should be sought, and upper management should be involved if required. The fifth practice is to resolve and recover from incidents. The entities that are responsible are the head of IT development, the head of IT operations, and the information security manager. The entity that is held accountable is the IT Service Manager. The practice receives 3 inputs, which are the risk incident response plans from the AP012 process, the known error records, and the communication of knowledge learned, both from the DSS03 process. It generates 1 output, which is the incident resolutions to be used by the DSS03 process. The activities involved in this practice include applying the most appropriate incident resolution, and recording if any workarounds have been used. The recovery actions should be performed if required, and the resolutions should be documented and assessed if they can be added to the knowledge base. The sixth practice is to close service requests and incidents. The entity responsible for this practice is the Information Security Manager, and the entity held accountable is the head of IT operations. The practice receives 1 input, which is the closed problem records from the DSS03 process. It generates 2 outputs, which are the closed service requests and incidents to be used by several other processes, and the user confirmation of the satisfactory resolution to be used by the AP08 process. The activities involved in this practice include verifying that the users are satisfied with their service request fulfillment, or that their incidents have been resolved. After that, the service requests or incidents should be closed. The seventh and last practice is to track the status and produce reports. The entity that is responsible is the IT service manager, and the entity that is held accountable is the head of IT operations. The practice receives several inputs which include the organizational level agreements from the AP09 process, the problem status reports, and the problem resolution reports, both from the DSS03 process. It generates two outputs which are the incident status and trends report, and the request fulfillment status and trends report, both to be used by several APO and MEA processes. The activities involved in this practice include monitoring and tracking the incident escalations and resolutions, and the progress of request handling until completion. Stakeholders that need the incident request status report should be identified, and the frequency of reporting should be defined. Categories and types of incidents and requests should be analyzed to identify trends, and this information should be used in the continual improvement planning. Timely reports should be generated and distributed to the relevant stakeholders. Other sources that provide further insights into this process include the ISO 20000 standard, the ITIL framework, and the ISO 27002 standard.